Prior to the murders, Holcomb and Garden City were obscure communities tucked into the breadbasket of America's heartland. That all changed due to the efforts of one man. Truman Capote made a name for himself as a writer for the New Yorker magazine and author of such works as Breakfast at Tiffany's. He sought to create a new genre in American literature, the nonfiction novel, but he still needed a subject. He received his inspiration from this brief article in the New York Times, just days after the Clutter murders. Capote traveled by train to southwest Kansas and stayed in this Garden City hotel. Some residents, who still live in the area, still have vivid memories of the famous author.
He was very unusual, especially just being from, I guess, the New York area and us being in Kansas. My father was running the front desk at that time, and I know he would say when Truman would call in from the room to ask a question, took my dad a little while to say yes sir instead of yes ma'am because of his voice being so high.
To Kill a Mockingbird author Harper Lee accompanied Capote on many of his trips to Kansas. Some even credit her for helping Capote break the ice with the locals.
She was just as helpful as she could be. She just helped him a lot here and was always looking out for his, I don't know, maybe almost like if you have a child who doesn't behave.
Capote hit the streets of Holcomb and Garden City less than a week after the Clutters were murdered. He began his investigation into the mystery of the murders as agents and prosecutors struggled to find man and a motive.
It was a very tense time because we had no idea whether we had somebody locally that had done this and was still running loose or not, and that caused a lot of consternation among the populace.
The big break in the case finally came just more than a month later. The same inmate who told Hickok of a safe full of money confessed to authorities that he knew the identities of the Clutter family killers. Acting on this tip, authorities arrested Dick Hickok and Perry Smith on December 30th, 1959.
No trouble at all.
Did you find the shotgun shells out here?
No comment.
When the two men were brought to Garden City to stand trial, they received frequent visits from the flamboyant Capote.
Why would you spend any time with those people that murder these fine people? I really feel that, I'm not saying he didn't do it on purpose. That might have been what he's great for. I mean, what he's known for. But I think he probably got so tied up in this and spending so much time with those people, and he's probably never been around anybody that's quite like them, that came from such a terrible background, and murder meant nothing to him. Killing meant nothing to him.
As Hickok and Smith awaited their trial, prosecutors had a major decision to make: life in prison or death by hanging.
As the county prosecutor, do you plan to ask for the death penalty in this case, sir? I know that takes a lot of thinking on your part, but have you made a decision as yet?
Greg, I've considered this very seriously from all angles, but I'm not prepared at this time to make a statement about that.
Under our Kansas law, that is a decision that is made solely by the county prosecutor. And no one else makes that decision. He's the one that has to make the decision as to whether or not he's going to ask for the death penalty. And I considered this for some time, and I finally came to the conclusion that this was a crime of such magnitude that we did not want any possibility whatsoever of these guys ever getting out of prison and killing someone else. And so that was why I asked the jury to assess the death penalty.
The most I can remember about it was that the defense was on their life of why. And I always felt like that was not, well, it wasn't to prove they was innocent. It was to lighten the burden that went with it, you know. The days of the verdict wasn't good. I mean, it was, I don't care how many times you can go through it. You can believe wholeheartedly that you're doing right, but you always got that other side that, you know, am I prejudiced?
After about 6 hours of deliberation, the jury found Smith and Hickok guilty of the Clutter murders and decided to invoke the death penalty.
I was not invited to attend the hanging, but I would have been more than happy to have gone up and pulled the levers on each one of them, because I'm the person that made the decision that resulted in them being hung in the first place.
Tonight, shortly after midnight, two men, residents of this institution since 1960, will be hanged by the neck until dead. Richard Eugene Hickok and Perry Edward Smith, convicted of the murders of 4 members of the Herbert Clutter family near Holcomb, Kansas on November of 1959, have exhausted all legal means of escaping the gallows.
One of the witnesses to the executions was Truman Capote himself. He spent more than 5 years researching the story and assembled more than 6,000 pages of notes. Those notes became the best-selling novel In Cold Blood, which was published in 1965 after appearing as a 4-part series in The New Yorker. The Random House Publishing Company initially printed 100,000 copies of the novel, one of the biggest first printings ever by the company. While millions of people admired the book worldwide, few residents of the Garden City and Holcomb area have read the book. Those who did gave Capote's novel mixed reviews.
Well, frankly, I didn't get a rat's patootie what Capote thought of me in his book, frankly. I frankly don't think it has any redeeming social value whatsoever. You know, I think there are lots of events and people's stories that are much more worthwhile telling than that.
I agreed with some of it I didn't agree with. I mean, what was in there, and I can't tell you what. But as far as what they wrote, you know. But the book I thought was written pretty good.